pressure looks good.
Calling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic. Flight outside of speed off. Speed off.
Yikes.
You bet.
Okay. We don't need any more of these.
Good morning, space fans. We're looking for AOS NASA spaceflight as we stand by for the launch of some Starlink satellites this morning. We're going to hop over to Fleet Cam to start with the view from Pad 40, or view of Pad 40 from Cape Canaveral there. Our NSF remote with Thomas Burkhart is rolling out right now to get set up over there, but for now we will be starting up the stream live from Port Canaveral on the Fleet Cam. I'm your host John Galloway with NASA Spaceflight. If you're watching me over on Twitch, you may know me as DOS. At some point I'm not going to have to say that anymore. I can just be so doxed that you just know that that's my name. But we'll be doing some live commentary here as we do. You know the drill. Let me know if you can hear me and see that video feed live from Port Canaveral. Give me a 5x5 in chat. Oh, you're already on it. I don't even have to say it anymore. And the other thing that I don't have to say is thanks for the super chat there. Blake Parsons, before I can even mention the fact that super chats pay for this stuff, there's already a $7.99 super chat from Blake Parsons in there. So again, we will be standing by. This launch scheduled in just under an hour. I believe the time is 11:31, if I'm not mistaken. On the line with me right now, I've got Michael Baylor. Michael, you up this morning? Maybe
How's it
not.
going, everyone?
There we go.
Sorry, you just cut out for me for a second. I don't know if that was just on my end. I think it was, but
Good deal.
hopefully we're going to see a good Starlink launch this morning. SpaceX only announced that this launch was happening officially a couple of hours ago, so not sure what was going on there. But as of now, everything is tracking for a launch at 11:31 a.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah, we have seen all those inspections. We know about the NASA press release that went out a little bit, pushing the Crew 1 launch back as SpaceX inspected these rockets. Again, they know what's going on. They're looking at whatever is happening. There's all sorts of factors whenever you look at a launch, so it's up to SpaceX to get these satellites up there. We're just sort of bystanders. We like to watch them, but it's SpaceX who is in charge. So we will see. As of right now, official word from SpaceX via a tweet this morning was that they are go for launch. They are going to continue to process this rocket. And I'm going to keep making sure I don't miss Thomas Burkhart. It looks like we may be getting...
Hello.
There he is. How's it going, Thomas?
We're good, and you should be getting our remote camera feed now, Das.
All right. Let's see if I am receiving that. And we will bring it online. Just 1 second here. Thomas, how's it going today? Where are you at for the launch?
It's going well. We are here on the ITL Causeway once again for another launch attempt. Hopefully this one will go better than the last one.
The ITL Causeway, that's, I think your camera is going to be 3 or 4 miles away from the pad?
I think it's just right about 3.5 miles away from Pad 40 at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. Yep.
Yeah, somewhere right in there. Good deal. So tell us about the mission this morning. What are we launching? I think this is sort of a redo because this one got scrubbed before, but what's the plan for the rocket today?
Absolutely. So today we are launching another batch of 60 Starlink internet satellites for SpaceX, an internal payload today, launching on a flight-proven Falcon 9 rocket. The first stage is booster 1060.3, the third flight of booster 60 today. Previously supported a GPS-3 launch and a previous Starlink mission. Brand new second stage, and as far as we know, brand new fairing halves as well. I don't believe SpaceX has said these fairing halves are reused. But just another standard Starlink mission, 60 satellites, no rideshare payloads or anything like that. And it'll be another standard mission into low Earth orbit. There will also be a drone ship recovery. Again, the first stage will land on Just Read the Instructions about 7 minutes after liftoff. And I don't believe we will have any fairing catch attempts today. Last I saw, one of the fairing ships had just departed the port of Morehead City, where it was undergoing repairs following some interesting recovery efforts on the last mission. But that ship will not be able to reach the recovery zone in time. Also, their 2 Dragon recovery ships actually departed Port Canaveral, and one of them had their transponder destination set to fairing time. So they're going to be involved in fairing recovery in some way. However, they also cannot reach the fairing recovery zone in time for liftoff. So I think the working theory is that they might try to get there as quickly as they can and hope the fairings are still on the surface of the ocean after a soft splashdown so they can fish them out. Although the longer they sit on the ocean, the more likely a wave can come by and damage them. So we'll see what happens. But it looks like they will try to make sort of a secondary payload fairing recovery attempt, but they won't be making a catch attempt today.
Sort of a scoop instead
Yeah.
of a catch, right?
Right, and we know that of course, these ships are normally used to recover Dragon capsules, not fairings. But we have seen them put a fairing on the deck, and they can just barely fit. So they know they can scoop them out and bring them back that way. So it'll be interesting to see when they come back to port what they're carrying.
Good deal. All right. And y'all, again, a lot of people just coming into this stream. We are standing by for a Starlink launch. What you see on the screen right now is the fantastic shot courtesy of Thomas Berghart, NASA spaceflight. I don't even know what to call you anymore. Jack of all trades is what I keep saying. But Thomas is out there operating the camera at the ITL Causeway that's CCAFS, isn't it? That's the Air Force Station, is the ITL Causeway.
Yep,
Not
we
the
are
NASA
on
side.
the Air Force Station side of Cape Canaveral.
Gotcha. So that view right there is about 3 point something miles away, 3.5, 3.8, something like that miles away from the rocket. You can see most of what you see in the frame there is actually not the rocket. The structure that sort of blocks our view of the main body of the rocket, that's the transporter erector that they use to actually transport and, I guess, verticate the rocket whenever it goes from horizontal to vertical. SpaceX actually builds these rockets in the horizontal configuration, and then when they get, they roll them out to the pad horizontally, and then that big hydraulic structure helps lift it up and then stays next to it while it has all the umbilicals and stuff like that. So it stays next to it just before launch. Then that big support structure will actually lean back, get out of the way, try to minimize the flame damage from the flamey bit end of the rocket there, and move out of the way. So right now we do see the rocket. It's just on the far side of that. You can see the payload fairing sticking up over the top. But we will be seeing a launch here coming up in 50 minutes. We hope. We hope. Whew. So, as always, we are live and we take questions from people. I need to get that interface up, apparently. I don't have that yet. But if you have a question for us, tag us at NASA Spaceflight in chat. If you're on the Twitch side, just be like, hey, here's a question. I mean, not as many messages come through on the Twitch side. It's a little bit easier for me to keep up with them. But let me get logged in and see what I have missed so
Does
far.
that, a couple other items just to keep an eye on. We know this mission was scrubbed a couple days ago due to a technical issue. They actually lost a camera feed from the upper stage in the final minutes of the countdown. So they wanted to make sure that they get that resolved and make sure that it wasn't also a symptom of some broader electrical problem. Losing a camera feed isn't the biggest deal in the world, but if you don't know why it went down, then you want to make sure you know, just to make sure it won't cause any other more serious issues. So they took a little bit of time off to address that, and they are back on schedule today. As far as we know, no other technical issues being worked, so technical items should all be go for today. And the weather forecast for today is a 60% chance of favorable weather. Right now, there's some clouds in the area, but not a lot of wind and not storm clouds. So hopefully that means that weather is go at this time. We will have a good idea if propellant load begins, which will not be until 35 minutes to launch. So we got some time before that. But that'll be our first indication that all items are go and proceeding towards launch.
Good deal. Again, we'll be watching the rocket here. Like Thomas said, 35 minutes before launch, we should start seeing some venting if they're putting fuel in it. Remember, there's a lot of things that have to happen in a very specific order for a launch to occur. And we've watched a couple launches in our time, so we know we can sort of watch what's happening on the screen and tell you if they've started to put fuel in the thing. Of course, rocket not going to space if they don't load fuel, so we'll be looking up in just over 10, 15 minutes for that, 10 minutes for that propellant loading to begin and starting to see some vapors or some venting coming off the sides of the rocket. So let me grab some super chats really quickly. Blake Parsons mentioned that at the very beginning, but I didn't get a chance to put it on the screen. Checking in from Australia this morning. Hey, from Australia, glad to catch another awesome stream. Blake, every single time we do this, you throw up and you like throw some change in the hat every single time. It all adds up, and we really appreciate the support. Corey Lene Carruthers, thank you for the support there as well. Matthew Duggar, I got it right the first time that time, I think. Good morning from Texas. Yeehaw, whip crack. To everyone, NSF viewers, show your support by hitting that like button. Well, look, I mean, if I sort of said that, that would be cringy, but I'm just reading what the message said there. Thank you so much, Matthew, for the kind words and the support. That taco guy, it's too early for that. I don't even have a taco here. You need to change your name until somebody either delivers me a taco or it's lunchtime. No
It is
Scrubtober.
never too early for a taco, Das.
Never
Unheard of.
too. Can you get breakfast tacos in Florida? Is that a thing?
I
No.
think so. I would imagine
Yeah.
so.
Huh. I worked at an auto shop when I was in high school, and I was like the gopher. I'd have to go pick up the parts and pick up this and run over to AutoZone and pick up this or whatever. Right, that was part of my job besides putting fan belts in minivans. And one of my tasks every Friday morning was to go pick up breakfast tacos for the entire crew, like all the workers at the shop. So I'd go and I'd bring back a bag of like 40 tacos, and they smelled delicious. I can smell them right now. That taco guy, you're making me hungry. Appreciate the $10 there. Also, shut up and take my money. All right, I'll shut up. You two will take part of your money. We'll take the rest. Thank you so much for the support. James Brown. Wow. Why does the strongback retract only a fraction of a degree? Why was this a new rule change, and what mission forced that change to happen? So, Thomas, the strongback has a couple different retraction phases, doesn't it? Talk us through what goes on with the strongback during
Sure.
coming up to launch.
Yeah, sure. So the strong back, like Dust said, is that transporter erector structure you're seeing, which actually covers most of the rocket from this point of view. You can see the payload fairing sticking up from behind it, but that darker structure in front of it is the transporter erector, and that carries all of the umbilicals and the electrical connections that go into the rocket right until liftoff. If you go back a couple years, the strong back actually retracted a much farther distance before launch, but I don't remember the exact reasoning why they didn't like that. But nowadays it retracts just a fraction of a degree a bit before launch, and then goes back the rest of the way at liftoff. I think it was they're trying to. I mean, I know the reason they do that is to protect all of the umbilicals and the connections on board from the exhaust of the very flamey rocket that's leaving the pad, which is of course damaging if you leave the umbilicals too close. So they want to get those away as fast as possible. And I believe it goes back farther than it used to, but they needed to upgrade the sort of the hydraulic systems and things to allow that structure, which is big and heavy, to move away from the rocket fast enough to do that. So yeah, a couple years ago they would retract it not as far, but they did it well ahead of launch, and now they can retract it just a little bit, and then at liftoff they throw it back the rest of the way. And that's just an improved measure to protect those umbilicals, which helps them turn these pads around and launch things more frequently from these pads.
Good deal. So, again, thank you so much there, James Brown. Good question about the strong back and how it gets out of the way. I mean, you'll watch it from this angle, it's going to be sort of tough to see because when that strong back retracts, it's going to come sort of straight at us, right? Maybe a little bit off to one side. I don't know. We'll get a little bit of perspective on it retracting, but from other angles, like if you're viewing over from the press site, you can really see the strong back sort of lean away whenever the rocket goes up. So, hopefully we see that this morning because if the strong back goes all the way back, hopefully the rocket will have fire coming out the back of it going towards space. And I know we'd all like to see a launch. So appreciate the support and the good questions. Rough Rider Show says, I love DOS started the stream with the one and only fleet cam. I mean, I'd like there to be 2 or 3 fleet cams, honestly. Right now, there's not. We need to point the cameras at enough stuff, and fleet cam can only look at one thing at a time. Appreciate the $5 there, Rough Riders. Good to see you again this morning. Ben Hockley coming through saying more Australians checking in. Thank you, Ben. Rusty Can. Watch rugby or you guys know competition, you win. Anybody else picking up what Rusty Can is putting down there? No competition?
He's saying we're no competition with rugby.
Yes.
It's a compliment.
The N was capitalized, and I was like, wait, what? Is it like a Bono's competition reference? Or no, we're actually winning out on the rugby match. You'd rather watch us. Rusty Can, thanks for the kind words and the support. Robert Hobson, another name that is very frequent in the NASA spaceflight streams here. $49.99 towards the DOS Taco Fund. You can get an awful lot of breakfast tacos for $49.99. I mean,
Sure, that's a lot of tacos, Das.
that's like for the entire NASA spaceflight crew fund. We could feed the entire team. We just have to get to a point where the world allows us all to be within 6 feet of each other. So, Robert Hobson, thank you so much for the super generous. Not the first time you've done that. Always supporting us so that we could do these things and fill our bellies. We appreciate the support, Robert, as always. A couple more here, then we'll get to the end of the list. Powers Foss, 4 launches in 1 month would be a SpaceX record. Question mark. Thomas, You're out there on the ITL Causeway. You know that one off the top of my head? How many launches has SpaceX done in a single month?
I think they've definitely done 3. Off the top of my head, I would guess that they've done 4 before. That might tie the record, but yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know. I'd have to do some research and get back to you. I don't know. Maybe Michael in the studio can do some Googling and get an answer for that.
Yeah, we'll put it up to one of our fact checkers to see if someone can Google that with the quickness, and then we can say it out loud as if we always knew. Just gonna be honest about how this works. Harv Rob also clearing out the queue with the $5 there. Harv, thank you so much for the support, and everybody stop doing super chats so that we can go on to other things. The queue is now clear, and of course, Jorg. I don't know if this is Jorg Mittag. Ah, wow. I need some help. Banana, help me out with this one. Look at the name on the screen and tell me the right way to pronounce that. Greetings from Germany. The 20 euros. Remember, they didn't use the super chill, the RP1, and they used to fuel a lot earlier. Now they fuel just until just 60 seconds before liftoff, so they can't retract earlier than that. So, Thomas, can we confirm that? Is that they're continuing to pump fuel until 60 seconds before liftoff? I think there's a partial retract in there, isn't there?
Yeah, well, there's still the partial retract and in the old well, all right, well, I thought I knew the answer, and now I'm second guessing myself.
That's okay.
I don't think, because I think they moved the transporter, moved the timeline for Stromback retract well before they got into the Block 5 fueling timeline. So I don't think they're related. I think it mostly just has to do with how quickly they could upgrade the erector so that it could throw back fast enough to retract at liftoff instead of ahead of time.
Yeah, gotcha. Because you need
I
bigger
think,
hydraulic pistons and stuff to
yeah,
keep
and
you
I
in
think they
control.
did that before the fueling timeline changed. So I don't think that's correct, but I'm gonna hedge my bet and say that I could be wrong on that.
Gotcha.
But that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
And again, Thomas, I mean, we're always putting you on the spot. You're out there on the ITL Causeway, standing on the grass next to the side of the road, and we ask you all these super detailed, complicated questions. I always know that we want to be accurate with our answers, so every now and then we may be like, "Well, actually, let's see
Yeah,
if we can
I
confirm that."
appreciate all the great questions, but I think I know the answer, but I'll say that I could be wrong on that.
Like, I did confirm the launch record. They've launched 3 times in a month, several times. If you do not include Starship hops, 4 in a month would be a record. But of
Gotcha.
course, this would be the third launch in October. So SpaceX would not be resetting a record, or would not be setting a record this month. But it could be possible in November.
Did you confirm that for a month, as in October 1st or October 31st, or did you confirm that for a 30-day rolling
I
timer,
confirmed that for a calendar month.
a calendar month? The silly analytics thing where it's like, oh, last 28 days versus this month, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
When
but
was the last launch in September? Was it after the 24th?
The last launch in September was September 3rd.
It
So
wasn't
no.
a. Oh yeah, because
wow.
it was yeah. All right, so yeah, so we're also not at 4 launches in a 30-day period either.
Yeah,
So
because there was there was the GPS slip and the Starlink delays. So
Yeah, we had a lot of scrub timber in there as well
yeah.
that would have sort of hurt that. So, all right, let's see here. Let me see if we can grab some other. Oh, I missed one thing. C Cup over on the Twitch side, tier 3 sub in 64 months. The message just says 2 to the 6, 4 to the 3rd, 8 squared. Thank you, C Cup, for the long time support. C Cup is one of my moderators over there, and one of those people who apparently has decided that they like hanging out so much they both help me moderate the stream and actually subscribe to it every month. So C Cup, appreciate the tier 3. That's the high level over on Twitch, and the 64 months, which is math any way you slice it. And Orlowski, I missed Orlowski as well. Almost, was that Scott Manley that just said that? Well, I don't know where the Scott Manley came from all of a sudden, but oh, look, time flies for 55 months. We appreciate you, Orlowski. And then Duna Direct as well. Nice. It's like Mars Direct, but Duna Direct. 57 months over there. Good morning from the West Coast, everyone. Good morning to you as well, Duna Direct. So the clock says T minus 37 minutes. Thomas, that means we're coming up on fueling, correct?
absolutely. So we're past the 38-minute mark, which means that the pre-propellant load go no-go poll by the SpaceX launch director is underway. We'll get confirmation shortly whether that is go or no go. Assuming it is go, the fueling timeline itself will actually start at T-minus 35 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm listening in. As soon as I hear the call out, I will report it.
All
And
right.
we just got to call out. They are go for propellant load.
Good to hear. We are go for propellant load. That propellant load will start at T-minus 35 minutes, just 2 minutes from now.
All right. Good deal. Let's see here. Am I missing anything else? Let's grab a couple questions, shall we? This is one we always get, and it's one of those things that I never tire of saying. Matthew Kane asked, "What are the 4 towers for next to the rocket? The 4 big towers with the white bits on top." Thomas?
Absolutely. So what you're looking at, you see the Falcon 9 rocket and the transporter erector right in the middle, and then those 4 towers surrounding the rocket are the lightning protection tower, lightning protection system. I think there's a couple different names for it, but basically 4 lightning towers. Here in Florida, when you get lots of storms very frequently, it's important to protect your tall, lightning attractive rockets from lightning. So all of the launch pads here have a lightning protection system, basically forces the lightning in the area to strike the towers instead of the rocket, and direct all that energy safely to the ground. And you can find that at any of the launch complexes here at Florida. At 39A, you have the one big lightning tower on top of the fixed server structure. And then most of the other pads have independent towers surrounding the server structures and things like that.
Excellent. So again, we get that all the time. I mean, really, really obvious there on the screen, those 4 big towers. I mean, they have these massive grounding cables on them so that if lightning is going to strike something over there, it's not your fancy, expensive rocket. It is your big tower that has a massive cable to just shunt that lightning, the energy from the lightning directly into the ground. So always get that question. I like that because that is sort of a sign that we have a new space fan hanging out with us, and we are always happy to answer things like that. Let's see here. What is the camera's distance to the rocket in kilometers? I will look that up for
I
you
was going to
really
say,
quickly.
someone needs to do that math who doesn't, who
Yeah.
can't do it in their head.
Thomas, what part of the ITL causeway are you on right now? Are you on the near the Cape side before the bridge, or not before the bridge, but where are you at? Near side or far side?
We are on the ITEL Causeway, actually pretty close to the turnoff for the ASOC. So we're, I think you know what I'm talking about when I say that. We're a
Right.
little bit farther down the causeway than we usually are. Yeah,
All right. I'm gonna go from about, what do you think, the middle of the causeway?
yeah, that'll be close enough. It won't
All
change
right.
Yeah,
much.
and we just got confirmation that propellant loading has started.
All right.
Okay, excellent. Propellant load is underway. So that means that RP1 kerosene and liquid oxygen is flowing into the rocket, and that will continue throughout the countdown until right before liftoff.
So the middle of the ITL causeway, just sort of estimating Thomas's exact position, is 3 miles away from the rocket right now. It's like 3 miles on the money based on Google Maps. And that comes out to about 4.8 kilometers. So getting in both units there, 3 miles or 4.8 kilometers, roughly sort of guesstimating where this camera is currently positioned. Let's see. Just grabbing another question here. Here we go. This is a question from I Love NASA. And they ask, why would SpaceX purchase fairing recovery ships? What's the difference between water recovery and fairing recovery? So I think we're talking about the difference between a catch and a what do I call the other one? They splash down and then they scoop them out of the water. Yeah, a catch and a scoop. So why would SpaceX want to catch them instead of scoop them? I mean, we scoop shuttle SRBs for who knows how many years.
That's true, and that's a great example of why they shouldn't scoop them, to be honest.
It's almost like I set that up.
So when these expensive components, which are all mostly metal, hit seawater, they immediately start corroding, and especially if there's electronics on board and things like that, those systems can be negatively affected by hitting the water. So that's why you want to keep these things dry as much as possible. It's why SpaceX lands their rockets on drone ships and doesn't just drop them into the ocean to be recovered. And it's why SpaceX created these fairing recovery ships that can keep the fairings dry. Now, because of the way the fairings land, if they do splash down, as long as water doesn't kind of get inside the fairing, They can usually be okay. A little water's not a big deal. It's all the sensitive equipment's on the inside.
Right.
So which is why they can sometimes scoop them out of the water and recover them that way. But it's still easier to prepare them for another flight if they catch them and keep them dry. So that's why they do that as often as they can. If you look at the Falcon 9 rockets, if a rocket engine hits seawater, you're in a bad place. So that's why
Right.
you've never really seen SpaceX intentionally recover a rocket from the water. They've done it unintentionally a couple times. Yeah, that's why they want to keep all these components dry as much as possible. And Das mentioned the shuttle SRBs, which were reused even though they hit the water and were not, kept dry. They parachuted into the water. There was a lot of work that went into that, and it would have been easier to reuse them had they stayed dry. Although it's not exactly easy to propulsively land a solid booster, so I'm not sure they had that option. But yeah, that's the difference there.
Hard to catch them as well. The shuttle SRB is a little bit larger than the fairing for the Falcon 9 here. So
Yes.
yet another good question. Again, y'all, if you've got questions for us, tag us at NASA Spaceflight over on YouTube. On Twitch, just be like, hey, just ask a question. It is all good. A couple super chats sneaking in. But before I get to those, Thomas, do you see any signs of venting from the rocket? We're now at T minus 31 minutes. And I haven't seen, a little bit tough with the background and sort of the haze there, the ocean haze. But do you see any signs with the Mark 1 eyeball?
Yet, although it is still very early in the countdown, I'm sure there are at the very base of the rocket. Sometimes it takes a couple minutes to be visible from 3 miles away. So
Gotcha.
we'll keep an eye on it. I haven't caught any yet, but we're still early in the fueling timeline, so there's only going to be a little bit at this point. It is a very cloudy gray background, which will make it a little harder. But the very obvious sign the fueling will be underway is in about 10 minutes. At T minus 20 minutes, there is always a big vent from the transporter erector. That's just part of the normal fueling countdown. There's a big vent that occurs at that time.
Yep.
So that'll be a very clear sign. But right now, actually, if you look at the transporter erector, I think I see a very small vent right now, or I could just be seeing things. Do you
Chat,
see that
anybody?
Anyone see that, or am I
Yeah.
just seeing things?
Like squint down to like 2010 and see if you can see some venting happening there. The background, if it was a nice clear blue background, it'd be a lot easier to see with a contrast. But
And
I'm
actually, now that I'm looking at it, I don't think that was a vent. I think I just saw something else that was bright colored.
that was a
I
seagull
don't think
flying
I
by.
see any venting. Yeah, maybe. I don't see any venting quite yet, or any vapors around the rocket. Of course, when you see those vapors, it's not always venting actual material being spewed out of the system.
Yep.
Sometimes it is literally just the tanks on the rocket getting cold because of all the super cold kerosene and liquid oxygen, that the air around the rocket condenses and produces water vapor. So we'll see a combination of just condensation from the cold rocket and actual venting where the system spews out extra, usually liquid oxygen.
Gotcha. All right, now let's grab a couple of these super chats here. Sarah Ecton, thank you so much for the support. Appreciation donation for everyone. We appreciate you, Sarah. Thank you so much. Couple members, Andrew Malin, thank you so much. Welcome to the crew. Teresa Tomkova, a new member as well. And then Joseph Fulton, too. 3 new memberships popping up there. And then another big super chat from Levi, $50. Saying NASA Spaceflight, you all are awesome. Thanks for all the hard work you do to keep us informed and up to date. Levi, we're able to keep doing this because of y'all's support. However you support the channel, whether you're liking and subscribing or retweeting things that we tweet or asking good questions in chat or showing up to watch or doing the financial support like that, all different ways. We really do appreciate you making it so that we can keep doing this and making it worthwhile for us to keep doing this. I mean, we got 4,000 people watching right now. Last I checked, 5,000. Wow, never mind. You glance over, another 1,000 people show up. So we are super glad that we're able to share this with everybody, and we're able to do it because y'all keep showing up for some reason, and you keep supporting us financially, so we can pay for bandwidth and cameras and all sorts of stuff. So let's grab another couple questions here. Just under 30 minutes now. Where is the first stage going to land today? This is a drone ship landing. Thomas, tell us a little bit about the landing and recovery that will happen.
Absolutely. The drone ship, just to read the instructions, is stationed to the northeast of Cape Canaveral along the launch heading. It's about 600 kilometers downrange, a little more than that. The same location as has been for all the other Starlink missions. And that is just read the instructions. That is where the first stage will attempt a landing today. It's just off the coast of the Carolinas.
Gotcha. So this is a drone ship landing, and I believe that is, like you said, just read the instructions. That left out of port just a couple days ago. And after it lands on that, hopefully we get a vertical landing on the drone ship. They go ahead and they use a tugboat to bring it all the way back down to port. I think it's Lauren Foss out there with this ship. There's a big seagoing tug that connects up to the drone ship and uses the big tug motors to pull it long distances. And they'll pull that all the way back down to Port Canaveral where they process it. And the interesting thing about this, check this out, is that we can actually see one of the boosters that's being processed back at Port Canaveral right now. I have to click on the right thing here to actually show you the booster. But right there, that is booster 1051 that has currently been recovered all the way back to Port Canaveral. Just yesterday, we saw them use those cranes there at the port to lay that down. This morning, it looks like they've installed a protective cover over the interstage. Yesterday, we could see right up the interstage there on the left-hand side of the rocket, basically the top, the part that connects to the second stage. But they bring those rockets all the way back to port, and over on the fleet cam, we watch all the different processing steps. One of the really interesting things that we saw yesterday, the rig that they have that booster laying on can actually roll the booster on its long axis. We saw them reorienting it, and there's some sort of roller system. If you see the white collar at the top and the bottom of the rocket, so that, go ahead.
Break. We might have to shut down this remote feed in a second. It might be about to start downpouring here at the press site.
Oh, wow. All right.
Cut this feed for a second. I'm going to keep it as intact as I can and stuff the camera back in the car.
All right, go ahead, Thomas. Thank you. So, like Thomas said, he is going to have to dodge some rain there really quickly. And Thomas, I'm also going to bring up the NASA Spaceflight Weather Center here so I can get you a little information on that. But we do have the other camera over there at the port. Thomas will secure that camera as we stand by. Still 25 minutes before launch here. But it's not important what the weather is right now. It's important what the weather is when it's time to launch. So rain coming through 3 miles away. Big deal for our camera. Not as big a deal for the rocket as long as it clears out. I'm going to get you a weather radar view here, Thomas. Let's see if I can find where Port Canaveral is on a map. There it is. Yes, you do. It's an isolated cell, Thomas, and I'm not sure. He may be busy, but there is an isolated cell that is literally just over the ITL causeway. It's not even raining at the pad right now, and hopefully that clears out pretty soon. I'll start pulling the animation so I can tell you the direction and how long it looks like it's going to stay there. But that just popped up right over Thomas, not at the rocket launch pad itself, and hopefully that clears out. The good news is, with multiple camera angles, we can continue to keep an eye. Let's see if we can see through the rain, actually, may be a problem. Let's go back and check pad 40 on the fleet cam. You see a little bit of haze in there. Not too terribly bad. You can see it's having a little bit of trouble clarifying the rocket. So we've got a little bit of perhaps precipitation between the camera and the rocket there. It looks like it cleaned up pretty good. But we'll make sure Thomas keeps the equipment safe, and we will see if everything clears up. Hopefully it does, looking at the weather radar, before the launch actually occurs.
Yeah, if we could get I'm back, guys. You should be able to check the radar and see. I think this is probably a quick 5-minute thing, but I don't want to douse our camera in water. So
yeah, absolutely. And Thomas, it is something that just popped up. This is not a big system that's rolling in or anything like that. It's just an isolated, hello, sailboat. It's just an isolated thing that sort of bubbled up right over you and started dumping out. So, all right. Grab a couple super chats here. Stephen Kinzierski, thank you so much, Stephen, for the coffee funds there. And then Sarah Ecton, $4.99 curly L's, to get Thomas an umbrella or tent. You would just go out there. Do you think they'd let you pitch a tent on the ITL causeway?
We can certainly find out.
The trick about putting an umbrella on the tripod is that sometimes the wind out there at the Cape may get so gusty that it turns your tripod into a, what do we count UAV these days? Unmanned? Is it still unmanned aerial vehicle? Anyways,
that would be an uncrewed
aerial
not
vehicle.
To say that we haven't tried protective rain gear on our camera tripods, but that's easier said than done, people.
I actually ordered this tripod umbrella that's fantastic as long as there's not a lot of wind. You clamp it onto the tripod, and then it covers the camera so that you don't get water or sun on the camera, like shielding it from direct sun or shielding it from precipitation. But if there's any wind, that tripod just wants to take off and give you an aerial view of what's going on. Not something we normally want from cameras we would like to pack back up and be able to take home. So again, we are standing by, coming up on the big T-minus 20-minute vent. Thomas, do you still have eyes on the rocket there?
I'm watching outside my car window, so I'll let you know if I see anything.
Gotcha. So still have the rain out there. Thomas has hopped inside the vehicle due to some heavy rain that was passing through, and we're still watching from the fleet cam here from Port Canaveral over there to pad 40. Interesting thing is when we installed FleetCam, we didn't anticipate being able to see the pads. I honestly didn't even think about it. We wanted to see the boosters coming back in, and that was the primary use. We wanted to see the booster come back in on the barge, on the ASDS. Sorry. And we wanted to see them process it, use the crane to lift it up, put it on the dock, lay it over. That's what we were interested in. And then all of a sudden, we put the FleetCam out there, and we can see the fairing catchers coming and going. And that's, oh wow, those are the fairing catchers. That's awesome. So we saw them offload a fairing. And then we could see the capsule recovery ships doing practices. And it's like, oh, look, they're loading a Dragon capsule on a, oh, that's really cool. That's another thing we can see. And then one day we were scanning around on the horizon just to see what we could see. And lo and behold, that's a fantastic view of SLC 40. So we don't have a view like this of all the pads from this position. That wasn't our intent to be able to see the pads. We just got lucky with pad 40 here. And we can also see 39B. Not a lot going on out there except for the SLS mobile launcher there right now. We cannot see 39A. 4137, we can't see 41. We can't see 39A. 37, we can just barely see the edge of it. There's like a port building or something like that blocking it, like a power station, I think it is. And then we can see some of the new pads they're working on over for New Glenn. Way to the right of the camera, we have some good shots of 36, 46. Keep getting those mixed up.
I think it's 46.
46. Because it's like, it's so far down, you'd think it'd be a lower
Yeah.
number, but it's 46.
The numbering scheme is not logical. You can't think of it logically.
So we're oh, there you go, Thomas. That is the T-minus 20-minute vent.
I was about to say, there it is. So that indicates that fueling is proceeding nominally at T-minus 20 minutes.
Yep, that is what we want to see. Folks, there's a little bit of a farther shot. This camera is 10.3 miles away from the rocket, but you can see that plume of venting coming straight out of the left-hand side, right there above the tree line. If you see that power line that goes sort of across the rocket, that plume is right there with that power line. Also, the seagull just flew below it. But that is the big T-minus 20-minute vent that is an indication that all is progressing towards this launch coming up in, well, I mean, about T-minus 20 minutes. And Thomas, it looks like in the next 5 minutes, hopefully that rain shower has dissipated. I'm just continuing to watch this on the weather radar, but it is sort of moving out to your west, it looks like. Hopefully that goes away soon.
Okay, cool. That is away from me and away from the launch pad. Both very important.
Yes. Nice. That taco guy says, time for a camera raincoat. They make those, you know. They make like these camera, like parka sort of things, and you strap up the camera to it, and it sort of protects the camera from rain or something. We'd have to protect the rest of the gear too, because we have like the Solo, the broadcast encoder, and we have the microphones and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if we're so hardcore that we need to be out in the rain. We just deploy a robotic camera instead of. Anyways, you know how it is.
NASA's getting more fed up with these meatball, camera operators by the day, I think.
the meatbag camera operators?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. It's a Futurama quote, y'all. Somebody at the port said, "Oh, the robotic cameras are going to put the regular camera people the photographers out of business." And it's like, haha, meatbag camera operators in 2020. You're never going to replace an actual person there on the ground. Like, we can look around with the robotic camera, but getting boots on the ground and having somebody there on site is a valuable asset you'll never be able to replace, right? Like, think of Boca Chica. Like, you can have robotic cameras at Boca Chica, but you will never get the level of detail and the level of insight that Mary, Boca Chica gal, gets traveling around looking at stuff. She's a lot smarter than a robot camera, I tell you that much. So coming up on 17 and a half minutes here. Thomas, if you could take it away for a minute, I need to bring up another feed here that I can listen to. Could use a little
Sure. So if
fill.
you're just joining us, we are at T minus 17 minutes ish and counting. We did see the T minus 20-minute event, so fueling is proceeding nominally. We're currently hiding our remote camera due to some heavy rain that's expected to clear in a couple minutes. So we'll get our normal camera feedback in just a few minutes. But right now you're looking at Fleet Cam, which is about 10 miles away. And we still have a view of the rocket, and we're still about 17 minutes away from liftoff. No weather issues that would impede the launch, and no technical issues being worked. As far as we're aware, everything proceeding nominally for an on-time liftoff at 11:31 a.m. Eastern Time. That is 15:31 UTC, and this is just liftoff of the latest Starlink mission, the 15th Starlink mission, the 14th launch of the version 1.0 Starlink satellites, and launching on a flight-proven Falcon 9 booster 1060.3 from Space Launch Complex 40 at the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station here in Florida, with a first stage landing on Just Read the Instructions, planned for just 7 minutes after liftoff. On board is just a standard batch of 60 Starlink internet satellites, no rideshare payloads or anything on board. Just a full stack of SpaceX's Starlink internet constellation satellites.
All right. And I, Thomas, what I'm dealing with is SpaceX always pulls these feeds at the last second, and we bring the feed in. So I'm trying to see if the official SpaceX stream is up. It's not up yet, and so I have to sort of rush to configure it so we can cut to it as a cover camera whenever the stream goes live. So I think we were sort of talking over here, and I think we may actually try to track the launch with Fleet Cam. We have that static view, which is this right here. Certainly, we'll be able to see that rocket take off, barring a massive rain shower at the port. But I think Michael Baylor is going to try to maybe track the rocket with the remote control of Fleet Cam. I've got it. Go ahead, Michael.
I was going to say, I'm going to try, but the current tracking interface we have is not easy. You're also working on a much fancier version, but I can only zoom, go up, go right to left, or fully to right at once. So I can't like be zooming out and moving the camera at the same time. If I have to zoom out, I have to stop moving the camera. So
Yeah.
it's not easy to track it, but we're going to see what I can do.
Right now we use a web interface, and the web interface, you can only click on one thing at a time. I do have it worked so you can actually log into the camera and control it remotely using an Xbox controller, but it's not quite ready for prime time yet. So that's a possibility. You can literally play the robotic camera like a video game, and that just needs a little bit more work before we deploy that a little bit more widely. It gets a little confused sometime due to network latency, so that's what we're trying to damp out. The bird is blurry. Yes, that looked like a little grackle. It actually looked like a female grackle or something. Whoa. Okay,
Sorry.
that was
I didn't realize you had it on Fleet Cam. I
Yes.
was not paying attention.
that's
I
the
was
only camera we
switching
have right now.
Good point. I was switching it to. I did not think that through. I was flipping it to manual focus, so that when we track our launch, that all those cables and other stuff in the foreground you see right now is not going to trick the camera. So I am now manually focusing the camera, and in a second you will have a good view again. I apologize for not thinking that through, but there you go.
Oh, that's all good. This is part of the behind the scenes for the NASA spaceflight live stream production. I mean, right now on the stream, it's literally us three people. It's Michael, it's Thomas, and it's me. And we don't have like a huge crew of people back at the studio. It's literally us three running all this. So, yes. So Thomas, it looks like the rain. How's the rain situation looking out there? We're at T minus 13 minutes. We may have lost Thomas there. All right, let's get a text message to Thomas. Just make sure. Thomas, no audio. Rain clear? Question mark? Yeah. Oh.
Wait, I was muted. Guys, the
hey.
reason I'm not talking is because I'm redeploying.
Okay, he's redeploying. He said he was redeploying the camera. It sounds like. Looks like from the NASA Spaceflight Weather Center. Looks like the rain has cleared. Thomas over there on the ITL Causeway sounds like he's redeploying the
camera
cameras.
right now.
Yeah, there we go. All right, good deal. So just passing 12 and a half minutes before launch. Everything's still good to go. Best we know, we did see that T-minus 20-minute plume, that fueling indicator that they are proceeding with the fueling. And I am going to try to see if we can get those other feeds configured now that SpaceX is actually live. The super chat that snuck through there while we were waiting, Joseph Tatum, love you, Mary. Can we all get a power? Can we get a power super chat for Mary? For Mary, for Boca Chica gal out at Boca Chica. I don't know that she's on the broadcast right now, but you are correct. She is our fantastic videographer. I don't even know what the right terminology is. She does so much and she does it so well out there at Boca Chica. So, Joseph, thank you so much for the kind words for Mary out there at Boca Chica, Texas. No live feed from Boca Chica right now, but we know that she is. Oh, hey, another sailboat. We know that Mary is probably out there capturing what's going on with that recently stacked Starship SN8.
Oh my gosh, my phone keeps muting itself. Dus, you should have our camera feedback.
All right, let's check it here. I'm looking for something to move. There we go. That'll refresh it. That should be live. I'm trying to see. Is there like palm tree waving, or was that a light that blinked on top? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there we go. Okay, you shook the camera a little bit. Perfect. Good deal. Thank you, Thomas. I was trying to make
I
sure
just
that I
took the
actually had a
opportunity to
live feed.
reframe it ever so slightly. We should be good now.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Your feed looks good to go. Well, as you reframe it here. So y'all rapidly approaching the T-minus 10-minute mark. It's two white cars driving by. There's actually two little causeways that go over to the ITL building there, and it looks like those cars, there's a security truck, I think, had the stripe on the side. Those cars look to be clearing the area. That road that they're driving on is slightly closer to the pad. That road puts them at 2.4 miles, or about 3.9 kilometers, where those cars are driving. But they are driving left to right. They're sort of clearing out that area, it looks like.
Okay, so we should be all set on our end, Dus. I think all three modems are connected if you want to check really quick, but
Will do.
you're getting the video feed, so it should be okay.
Yeah, video feed looks good right now.
Okay, cool.
I'll check your uplink.
So welcome everybody back to my view from the causeway now that the rain is cleared.
Yeah,
So
I'm getting
right
full
now-
bandwidth on three connections right now, Thomas. So that's nominal.
Perfect. So we're coming up on T-minus 9 minutes. You will see at T-minus, well, you won't see anything actually, but at T-minus 7 minutes will be the next milestone in the countdown as the 9 Merlin 1D engines on the first stage begin engine chill, where they are thermally conditioned for ignition and liftoff. All fueling is proceeding nominally. Fuel and oxidizer are flowing into both stages of Falcon 9. And we're getting into the business end of the countdown. Liftoff still on schedule for 11:31 a.m. Eastern Time, 15:31 UTC.
All right. And Thomas, I'm going to be quiet for just a second as I configure those auxiliary feeds.
Sounds good. We will be bringing on the SpaceX feed for some extra camera views. We've also got Fleet Cam, and of course, we've got the remote camera that I'm operating right now. So Das is going to work on configuring that. Please continue to put any questions you have into chat. We have a couple of minutes here where we'll still be able to answer a few questions. Of course, we'll stop once we get to liftoff so we can focus on the mission. But ahead of that, please feel free to keep asking some questions about today's mission, and we'll try to answer them best we can. Now coming up at T-minus 8 minutes. Again, all systems are nominal for an on-time liftoff today of the 15th Starlink mission on board Falcon 9 from Space Launch Complex 40, Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida. This will actually be the second SpaceX Starlink launch this week. We had one earlier this week from pad 39A on a different Falcon 9 rocket. And of course, that booster is back in port undergoing processing after a successful recovery. This would be the second launch this week, both of them Starlink missions for SpaceX. This is another mission ahead of a very busy manifest here on the East Coast for SpaceX. There are several Falcon 9 missions planned. We're coming up on a couple of Department of Defense missions, both the GPS-3 SVO4 mission, which as most of us know was delayed due to some issues with gas generators on first stage engines. We actually were here live for a launch attempt from this very spot from Space Launch Complex 40 for that mission. And we got a scrub at the final minutes of the countdown due to that issue, and they're still working that, which is why a couple different missions are now planned to launch ahead of that launch, such as this one. So that mission, the next attempt should be coming up as soon as they address that issue, which they are making good progress on. NASA actually put out a report about the Crew 1 mission, which also is making sure that those issues do not affect that mission. So we know SpaceX is working through those issues, and that launch attempt should be coming up soon after this one. There's also the NROL 108 mission, a mission for the Department for the National Reconnaissance Office that will launch from Pad 40 sometime in the near future. There's also a launch for SiriusXM satellite radio, the SXM-7 satellite will launch on a Falcon 9 from Pad 40. And then there's also a pair of launches launching from Pad 39A. Of course, Crew 1, the first operational mission for Crew Dragon, launching from Pad 39A in mid-November, and then no earlier than December, we will see the debut of Cargo Dragon 2, also from Pad 39A, the first cargo mission with the upgraded Cargo Dragon spacecraft from 39A. So a very busy end of the year manifest. There will also likely be more Starlink missions, etc. So lots of busy times ahead for the Space Coast here. Not least of which is this Starlink mission. We are now approaching T-minus 5 minutes, so engine chill is underway, and we're into the final preparations for liftoff.
All right, Thomas, thank you so much there. Just very quickly, it looks like we do have, the official feed online. That's one of the fairing catchers.
Is that fairing vessel is not in the recovery zone, though, right?
I do not see a net up on it.
No, they were at full speed heading for the recovery zone.
Yeah.
They left late.
My guess is that they're going to get there as fast as they can and just use the scoop nets to scoop them out. And they do not have time to get there for a catch, I don't think, unless, of course, they scrub today. I don't know. Can they put the nets up when they're already at sea? Do you know? I feel like they can.
I think they can. I think they can hoist those up. They can raise and we've seen them raising and lowering them in port using the rigging. Yeah, okay. They have sort of these big electric motors that can actually raise and lower it. So I don't see why they couldn't lay it out on the deck and connect it to the 4 points and then use the motors to raise it up.
So I guess,
Just an update on the fairing, but we saw that was Miss Tree, or excuse me, that was Miss Chief. Sorry, I got that wrong. Miss Chief is at full speed going to the fairing recovery zone to try to collect the fairings from the water. That's what they just confirmed on the webcast. The reason the normal fairing recovery vessels were not in position ahead of time is because they were undergoing some maintenance, according to the webcast. And of course, we know that maintenance is because both of those recovery vessels sustained damage during the previous catch attempts. So I guess Miss Chief is the one that was available to be able to get back out there quickly. But it's still going to be a bit late, so we'll have to see how long those vessels can float for and still be recovered.
Really quickly on the SpaceX official feed, they have an image of one of the Starlink antennas. That is the user ground station that actually talks to the Starlink satellites there. It looks like a little pizza plate / UFO on a stick. But that is the ground station that they use to talk to the satellites that are being launched today on the top of the rocket.
It looks like they fixed the stream delay on SpaceX's end, so that's good. It was like 25 seconds for the previous 2 streams, but it looks like it's down to about 10, which is more normal right now.
They're catching up with NASA spaceflight. Yeah. Nice job, SpaceX. Folks, we're talking about it seems like for a while SpaceX had a massive delay configured. The feed that you saw on YouTube was about 30 seconds after real time. Our nominal latency is called, and end-to-end latency, our nominal latency from Thomas's camera to your browser window is about 7 seconds. And so we would always have a mismatch between our countdown. You'd see the rocket launch on our camera. You wouldn't see the rocket launch on SpaceX's camera for 25, 30 seconds. But Michael there saying it looks like LOX load is complete was the call on the countdown net there. But it looks like the SpaceX delay is now back to a nominal 10 seconds or so. So camera should be a lot more in sync today than we've seen in the past. Got that? Yep, okay, that is live video. Good deal. So just under 2.5 minutes, standing by for the potential launch of 60 Starlink satellites aboard this is the 15th mission, the 14th operational mission. Look at this. The security forces, I thought he was parking there so they could watch the launch from that perspective. What's the deal with with cars parking in our shots every single time we do this?
We've had a bad streak of that, haven't we?
It gives
between
perspective, I
this
guess.
and fleet cam and boats parking in our way.
All right.
Okay, so we are under T-minus 2 minutes. The next milestones will all happen in very quick succession. At T-minus 1 minute, Falcon 9's onboard computers will take control of the countdown and put Falcon 9 into startup mode, preparing for liftoff. And that will include pressurizing the onboard tanks to flight pressures. And then at T-minus 3 seconds, the 9 Merlin 1D engines on the first stage are commanded to ignite. And then at T-minus 0, we will see Falcon 9 hopefully lift off from pad 40 and begin its journey to space. You can see a very big vent from the vehicle that is nominal and a normal part of the countdown as all of the ground support systems and the rocket itself prepare for liftoff. And we are just right now at T-minus 1 minute and counting. Falcon 9 is in startup.
We should probably get Thomas on an internal audio.
Yep.
DOS.
Sounds good. So Thomas, you are now on delayed audio. You're on camera audio now. Go ahead.
Copy that.
Jiggling.
So we are on our fancy microphone to capture the rumble of Merlin 1D engine at liftoff. And we are right now at T-minus 30 seconds and counting. Weather is confirmed go at this time. All systems go for launch.
And I am going for all NSF cameras on the launch here, y'all. There's a lot of launches. And we'll see both these here.
We have the sound suppression water system has been activated, stage 1 ignition, and liftoff. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 from Space Launch Complex 40 on the newest Starlink mission. Vehicle has cleared the towers.
Clouds on the fleet cam there. Tom is still tracking it from the ITL causeway. Michael, fantastic job controlling fleet cam remotely. That was a nice track on fleet cam. Look at that sky. Look at Thomas's view there, y'all. Pitching downrange through the clouds, but getting that angle, sort of that back angle on the rocket as it sort of disappears into the clouds. That is just a very, very cool shot. From the SpaceX official feed, you can see there is the rocket camera looking back down of the grid bits you can see there. So that is on the upper stage of the rocket looking back down. Starting to see some plume expansion, it looks like. Atmospheric pressure decreases as it gets higher and higher above the surface of the Earth. You can see that atmosphere no longer pushing those flames together. The flames actually expanding straight out. You normally get that pencil thin rocket flame coming out of the back because of atmospheric pressure, but as you get less atmospheric pressure, you get this big plume expansion, it's called. one of my favorite parts of the launch. You can literally see the rocket leaving Earth's atmosphere as that plume expands more and more. Wow. T plus 2 minutes. Curvature of the Earth in the background there. 60 Starlink satellites on their way. Should be coming up very shortly on MECO, main engine cutoff. You know how we like our acronyms. So we get a shot of the internals here. That's actually inside, looking down. That's actually looking up, sorry. The right-hand camera is looking down from the second stage. There you go. So that is a stage 2 separation. Looks like we've got ignition. Stiffener rings just came off. You see the pieces that sort of came off of that stage 2 downlink on the right-hand side. That is normal. On the upper stage, grid fins are deploying. Falcon 9 beginning its ballistic trajectory back down towards the drone ship, hundreds of miles downrange. Those grid fins, once it gets back into the thicker atmosphere, help it to control its trajectory aerodynamically instead of using fuel through the Merlin engine. And we're going to get a fairing deploy coming up next. Watch the right-hand side. There you go. That is the head fairing separating from the upper stage, exiting the Starlink satellites. Of course, they want those satellites to be protected while they're in the atmosphere, but once you get them up high enough, you're out of the atmosphere, out of the thick parts of the atmosphere, let's put it that way. You can get rid of the extra mass of that fairing, freeing those satellites so that they can be released. Now, they're still held to the upper stage. Sounds good.
That was one of the loudest launches in recent memory. I hope the mic picked it up really good because it was a gorgeous sound coming off the pad and a beautiful liftoff. We did lose it through the clouds. We had not crystal clear skies today, but early phase of liftoff looking good. Good first stage flight, good fairing deploy. Second stage continuing on towards orbit, and the first stage coming back for landing on just read the instructions.
So next thing we expect to see coming up here is the entry burn. The entry burn is where Falcon 9, the booster stage, going back down towards the Earth, lights the engines to slow itself and protect itself from reentry. Would not want it to burn up or take any damage from the heating as it starts to tear through the atmosphere on the way back down. Of course, the heating there doesn't come from friction, common misconception. A lot of the heating there actually comes from compression of the atmosphere. But should be seeing the portion of the Atlantic Ocean off the east coast of the United States where the drone ship is, down below the camera on the left-hand side. That's that upper stage camera. That's a view looking out the top of the upper stage. Those big pistons you see, I guess those big rods you see, those are struts, Kerbal fans. Those struts actually help secure the upper stage to the lower stage to the booster. The triangle tripod thing you see on the left-hand side when they cut to that camera. And should be coming up on the entry burn. Just got a call over the countdown net saying the stage 1 FTS is safe. And there's the entry burn started. FTS is the flight termination system they were referring to there. And here you can see a couple different things on the booster there. Again, the booster is on the left-hand side. That's the first stage of the rocket. On the right-hand side, that is the second stage. Looks like they're getting some hiccups in that downlink. Looks like we've got the entry burn completed there. Can actually see some cold gas thrusters firing there as well. That little bump that you see on the body of the rocket, that's actually the cold gas thruster. They use those to get a little bit of propulsive attitude control, do things like pitch and roll. Up there where the atmosphere is still so thick, or sorry, still so thin that the grid fins don't give them a lot of control authority. They need to get down into the lower atmosphere, get a little bit more air going through those grid fins before they get a lot of command authority, control authority from them, not command authority. That's a shot of the drone ship there, standing by. Wow, didn't that used to have a SpaceX logo on it?
That
Well,
is
it
some
does.
nice flat water, though.
Yeah.
When you land rockets often enough, the logo tends to burn away.
Yeah. Didn't have time to repaint it this trip, I guess. So should be coming up on landing burn in just a few seconds. Always happens just before 8 minutes. Well, not always, but to this mission. There's the landing burn kicking in. Just heard over the net. Let's see what we get. Do we get a nice solid feed from the drone ship? Expect it to start shaking here. And stand by. We should see very shortly that camera. There is some exhaust. There is some video feed hiccups. What? There you go. That is a Falcon 9 rocket
Wow.
on the deck.
That camera had a wild ride for 30 seconds there, but Falcon 9 has landed on just really. I think the camera might be tilted ever so slightly.
I
Yeah.
think the camera took a hit, it looks like.
That was awesome. I love it. And there's another camera feed. That was an awesome view.
I appreciate the work that they've done to keep those camera feeds up during the landings. That is really cool that we're able to see those things. Had a little, the camera had some serious problems there, but it recovered. It did make it through, and it did get us this fantastic shot of the Falcon 9 on the deck of the drone ship that's just read the instructions with a booster on it. We will see that coming back into port in just a couple days. Continuing on, it also looks like we just passed Seco 1. So on the upper stage there, we are going to be in a coast phase. Seco 1, I believe they have another burn. Don't they have another burn today, Thomas?
Yes, there will be another burn, but it won't be. It's something like 40 minutes after liftoff. So it's going to be a long toast phase for the first stage to reach the point in its trajectory where it needs to fire its engine briefly to circularize its orbit and enter into the orbit that they will insert the 60 Starlink satellites into. But right now, stage 2 is on a nominal trajectory and on its initial trajectory, coasting towards its second burn. Of course, you can look at the live view from here on the ITL Causeway, where we have DAS's favorite view on a launch day, an empty launch pad.
That's absolutely right, Thomas. I like to say my favorite view on launch day is that right there because there's no rocket. It's gone. It's on its way to space. You can see that strongback retracted now. It's at an angle that was previously straight up and down supporting the rocket, and that would have thrown back right before launch. You probably saw that here on the stream. But that is what we like to see, a retracted strongback. Let me see what the view from Fleet Cam looks like really quickly.
While you do that, DAS, we're going to go ahead and pack up that remote camera as we are getting ready to leave the press site here.
Gotcha. Fleet Cam's still looking at the sky. Look at the puffy clouds there, but we'll get that reorganized. And we are bringing Thomas's camera offline from the ITL Causeway. They do have to pack up and go away. So there on Fleet Cam, you can see that empty launch pad. No rocket, no big bright fairing there. That's really the most obvious thing from this perspective. The fairing is no longer there. But that was a so far successful launch of the Starlink mission from Cape Canaveral, Pad 40, SLC, Space Launch Complex. Let's say it the right way. 40 this morning. Again, I said so far, I'm not trying to be pessimistic. Mission success happens when those Starlink satellites separate, and that is after this long coast phase here. We'll have this long coast phase, and then we'll have another ignition of that upper stage engine, just a really brief ignition if I'm not mistaken. And after that, separation of the Starlink satellites. That's one of the things we do here when watching, reporting on these things. It's all fantastic, but mission is not complete until those Starlink satellites are separated. Sometimes missions, the rocket's mission is complete when the payload is separated, but you need other things to come online. You need the spacecraft to go power positive. If we're looking at cargo missions, a lot of the times, hey, Pelican, you'll hear them say that the solar panels have expanded, or what expanded? That's not the right terminology. The solar panels have deployed. We'll hear that on the Cygnus cargo craft, the Russian Progress craft. You'll wait for that call. But here for the Starlink, SpaceX looking good as long as they get all the way up to spacecraft deploy, which is coming up in, if I'm not mistaken, 40-something minutes in the coast phase here. So let's do this. Since we've lost our remote at ITL, let's pop Fleet Cam over to that other booster and talk about what we can expect coming up in the next days here. Go down this way. Whoop! We will cut to another booster. That, of course, booster 1051. It is still being processed. That came in on the drone ship. So this is sort of not the end of the processing flow, but this is the middle of that processing flow. We just saw that successful landing on the drone ship out in the Atlantic Ocean. Just read the instructions, and Tug Lauren Foss will bring that booster back into Port Canaveral. We will see it come right up the channel on Fleet Cam. It'll be berthed over to the side of the cargo piers here. Berthing just means the tugs will push it up next to the dock, secure it with the lines. Big crane. Let me see if I can get that big crane really quickly. This big crane here, there you go. That crane will actually swing over, attach a cap to the top of the booster, and then lift the booster up and take it over to a stand that's on the port dock there. They process the booster, or they can process the booster there. They can also do some of the processing on the drone ship. But then they will lay the booster down. They'll put a transporter under it. Not seeing the transporter over there at the port today. So standing by. Maybe that transporter is busy moving other things around. But eventually the booster will end up on the transporter, roll back through the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station gate, and end up for another mission. The rocket you see laying down there right now, that's its 6th mission. It's going to go for a 7th, I hope. And do we know, Michael, how many missions the rocket that just launched has done? Off the top of our head?
That was the third flight of B-1060. Its first flight was GPS, the third GPS spacecraft, and then it flew another Starlink before flying today's Starlink mission. So third total flight. We expect it to fly again in the near future with another SpaceX mission.
All right. So again, y'all, we have packed up the remote camera from the ITL Causeway. Successful launch so far. SpaceX, of course, still standing by. Probably, do we have the exact count on that, Michael, so I can be precise? It's T plus 14 minutes. Do we have the timing of when spacecraft separation is?
SpaceX says spacecraft separation, I believe it's an hour and 3 minutes. Let me double check. Make sure I'm getting that right. Yes,
Cool,
an hour, 3 minutes, and 10 seconds into launch.
Gotcha. So about 48 minutes from now, we expect that spacecraft separation. So while we have this fantastic shot live from Port Canaveral of the previous booster, clearly this is not the one that just launched. Let me run through some super chats really quickly. I know I missed quite a few of them. Javier Alguin, loving what you guys do. Yeehaw! Appreciate you, Javier. S. Riley 77 says, go Fleet Cam. Appreciate you, S. Riley. Michael, fantastic job with the Fleet Cam track. Like using the web interface, clicking one button at a time. Dude, it was a good job.
It's better than last time.
Yeah. I mean, look, I know that SpaceX has all sorts of fancy cameras, and they have access to put things on the pad and on the rocket. But both of the cameras you saw for liftoff, those were ours. That was our field remote operated by Thomas Burkhardt out there at the ITL Causeway. And Fleet Cam, the teleoperated robotic camera installed at Rusty's Seafood and Oyster Bar there at Port Canaveral, actually a partnership with a restaurant that allows us space and electricity and internet to put that camera at Port Canaveral. It's actually mounted right there on the second floor of the balcony of the restaurant. So if you head over to Port Canaveral, this is your view. If you head over to Port Canaveral and eat at Rusty's, this is your view. You can sit there and have a burger or some coconut shrimp or whatever. Hey, look at that. There's a logo and everything. And sit next to a booster that's being processed just right across the channel. You're about 1,000 feet away from the deck of the restaurant to the booster. You're less than a quarter mile away, and it is a fantastic place to sit and hang out. So let me grab some more super chats.
Really
Gordon,
quick, before
go ahead.
Dust does that, I just
Yeah,
want to
Thomas.
sign off. We did pack up our camera, but I just want to say thank you to everyone for tuning in today. Thanks for joining me and the studio crew, Das and Michael, who make these things happen. We appreciate all of the memberships and the super chats, and just for tuning in. Appreciate all the questions, all of that. It allows us to do what we do, and we really appreciate it. So thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned. Das and Michael are going to continue coverage of the remainder of the mission. Thomas Burkhart, reporter for NASA Spaceflight, signing off from the ITO Causeway, and we'll hope you join us next time.
All right, y'all, again, give a hand to Thomas Burkhart, answering questions, running the cameras, driving out there to ITL. You can find him on Twitter at TGMetsFan. I'll get a link to that in chat. But if you want to keep up with space goings on, he also is a writer for NASA Spaceflight. He's one of our webcast hosts on occasion, just all across the board involved with what we do here. But here is his Twitter link as I talk very slowly.
And hey, if you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, you might even hear my voice again later today.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're not done for today, are we? Here, let's see. There's that. And where's my other chat window? I've lost my other YouTube chat window. We'll just put it here. I have a lot of windows open when I do this stuff, y'all. There we go. TG Mets fan. That's me posting as NASA Spaceflight from the other production computer. Ah, yes. So the super chats, that's where I was. The super chats, Gordon Murphy, Dawson Company. Do you guys often daydream of launches and space stuff becoming so prolific that NSF has to become a major big money network? I mean, we already have quite a bit of coverage for a lot of stuff going on. And I mean, I'd like to think we're major, but not in the terminology you're using. Big money, not so much, but network, I guess you could say we're a network. I really do have a lot of fun doing this. I appreciate the fact that there's so much for us to cover. It's almost something that you can spend full time on. I mean, I know that between fleet cam and coverage and doing time lapses and setting up other cool robotic cameras and just live stream stuff, I'm already doing this basically full time. And I know Michael spends an awful lot of time on it as well. The rest of the NASA Spaceflight crew also all sort of chipping in to make this stuff happen. But we have a lot of fun. I mean, what a good problem to have. So many things going on with spaceflight that we spend so much time to bring it to you, to share it with you. I'm not going to complain about that.
And really quickly, Doss, I have some images queued up from one of our photographers out at the launch today if you want to go through those.
Good deal. Let me grab the last two super chats here. Levi saying the tracking on both cameras was awesome. Great job, guys. Levi, I completely agree. Again, massive props to Michael there operating Fleet Cam. And then Norfindir. Norfindir is a new membership. Norfindir, welcome to the space family. We appreciate the support. So go ahead, Thomas. What do we have to show?
Michael, yes. Stephen
sorry.
Marr. Yeah, you're good. Stephen Marr, I think this was his first mission for being a photographer for NASA Spaceflight, and he got two great photos of the launch that we'll put up on screen now. That was of liftoff from the ITL Causeway, where Thomas was also shooting the launch from with our tracking camera. So that's pretty cool. He's at Space Coast _Steve without the first E. You can see his handle on the top right. That's his Twitter account if you want to follow him. And then he also got a pretty cool one following liftoff.
Here's a link to Steven's Twitter. Right there. It's me posting from the console again.
So those were our two photographs that an NSF team member got today and posted. So that's pretty cool.
Wow.
Nice detail in the flames.
Yeah. That's tough to do, y'all. I mean, imagine you have seconds to get something like this, not only frame it, but make sure it's exposed, focused correctly, all that sort of stuff. And it's constantly changing. The rocket's going downstream. The rocket's going downrange. And so being able to capture something like this takes an awful lot of skill, an awful lot of experience. You can't take these shots for granted, you know?
Nope. That is
Whoa. By the way, I missed, Michael, that Norfindir, that was actually a launch director
Oh, wow.
membership joining in. I saw it because I had the fleet cam chat open, and when I looked over, I noticed that FleetCam still the FleetCam chat picks up the memberships as well, and that was Launch Director Norfindir. Thank you so much for the support. Jeez. Yeah, I like this. I'm going to read this out as well. The name on Twitch is Bubble Bubbles. Bubble says, "Thank you very much for streaming stuff like this. I show it to my whole family. Haha, with a heart." Bubble Bubbles. That's one of the reasons that we're family friendly. You can show our broadcast to kids. We want to get everybody excited about spaceflight, but we are always a family friendly broadcast, both on my Twitch stream and over here on the NASA Spaceflight YouTube channel. If you want to sit your kids down in front of a playlist that may be interesting, the NASA Spaceflight YouTube channel is one that you don't have to worry about. Hey, if they like construction equipment, like cranes and bulldozers and stuff like that, the Boca Chica daily videos are probably a fantastic thing to show to your young child who likes construction equipment. I don't know if I've heard. Is that too much of a reach, or can I go with that?
Go for it.
I think that's an accurate thing to say. But Michael, here, I don't. Are we planning on being live the entire time? I think we're probably going to end up shutting down the stream here before spacecraft separation. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, you can always just go to the SpaceX YouTube channel to watch that. So
Yeah. Or if you want to continue watching the booster here, you can hop over to FleetCam, which will, of course, stay live. We're running an alpha test of the 24/7 FleetCam. Still, maybe some hiccups and stuff like that, but you can get some of the views by popping over this way. I'll put that in the chat as well, really quickly, if you want to hop over to FleetCam. That's a link to FleetCam, Twitch as well. There you go. But I believe for now we should be shutting down our live coverage of the Starlink launch this morning. Sound good, Michael?
yep, sounds good to me.
All right. So, folks, thank you so much for joining us today. Like I said, we'll be spooling down our live commentary. Doesn't mean the live feed here will stop. Again, hop over to that FleetCam stream if you would like to continue watching what's happening here at the port. Also, SpaceX is probably still going to be live until spacecraft separation, if that's how you want to roll. Your crew today out at the ITL Causeway, we've said it 100 times, but we want everybody to know Thomas Berghart rolled out early this morning to deploy that remote camera and operate that fantastic track of the launch from 3 miles away. Y'all put some love into chat. Geez, I don't know. Put some thanks out there for Thomas Berghart. Also, back in the studio, Michael Baylor operating FleetCam. Michael acting as the remote camera operator. I think we can officially add that to your list of skills.
That was from 3,000 miles away. So
You were all the way over in California, and you were connected to that camera installed at Port Canaveral and tracking the rocket launch in real time from 3,000 miles away. Thank you so much for everything you do to make these streams happen, y'all. Somebody clap for Michael Baylor there.
well, they should be clapping for you because you are the one that somehow made it possible for me to track a rocket from 3,000 miles away.
Oh, we have too much fun with this, Michael. I'm John Galloway, folks. You see me over on Twitch. I'm DOS. But signing off the NASA Spaceflight live commentary here on this stream. Again, you'll want to keep watching the booster there in port, live from Rusty Seafood. Hop on over to the FleetCam stream. If you want to continue watching all the way up till spacecraft separation, of course, they don't need a shout out, but SpaceX is still live as well. So we will be seeing y'all next time. Again, thank you for all the support. Thank you for letting us do this. We are able to do it because of your support. And join us later today. We will be live back here on the NASA Spaceflight channel for a thrilling installment of NASA Spaceflight Live. It's almost become our live Space Nerd Hangout show. We don't have a script. We have a very rough schedule or list of topics that we're going to talk about. But 3 p.m. Eastern, I think, today is our schedule for NASA Spaceflight Live. Join us there if you want to ask more questions about all sorts of space missions, especially the garage door getting stuck over on OSIRIS-REx. OSIRIS-REx has such a successful sample collection that some of the samples are actually keeping them from closing the sample collection hatch or door on the spacecraft. So we'll be talking about that a little bit later today here on the same channel. But for now, signing off, and we will see you nerds later. Thanks again for all your support, letting us do this.
good.
Doubling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic. Flight is outside of speed off. Speed off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.